For over 40 years, Star Wars has continued to inspire and delight people of all ages. Over the course of its 4-decade history, it's had some fantastic films, some alright films, and some bad films. The Star Wars franchise has been one of the most successful media franchises, with toys, video games, t-shirts, dishware, TV shows, and yes, even theme park rides. With Galaxy's Edge just on the horizon, I think it's time to take a look back at the very first Star Wars attraction.
Now, in a kingdom very, very near.
Arthur, do hurry. The passengers are boarding.
Prepare yourselves
Welcome aboard.
for the ultimate Disneyland thrill attraction from the imagination of Disney and George Lucas. Because now, the adventure is real. Star Tours at Disneyland. In all the universe, there is no greater thrill. Now open at Disneyland.
The ride that became Star Tours first saw light as a proposal for an attraction based on the 1979 Disney live-action film, The Black Hole. It would have been an interactive ride simulator attraction where guests would have the ability to choose the route. However, after preliminary planning, the Black Hole attraction was shelved due to its enormous cost, approximately $50 million US, as well as the unpopularity of the film itself. Instead of completely dismissing the idea of a simulator, the company decided to make use of a partnership between Disney and George Lucas. While Star Tours was the first attraction to begin production, that began in 1984, Captain EO, a 3D musical film starring Michael Jackson, would be the first Lucas attraction to open. With Lucas's approval, Disney Imagineers purchased 4 military-grade flight simulators at a cost of $500,000 each, and designed the ride structure. Meanwhile, Lucas and his team of special effects technicians at Industrial Light and Magic produced the first-person perspective film that would be projected inside the simulators. When both simulator and film were completed, a programmer then sat inside and used a joystick to synchronize the movement of the simulator with the apparent movement on screen. They originally had over 20 minutes of film for the ride, which was then cut down to 3 minutes and 20 seconds, which was then expanded to 4 minutes, so the ride wouldn't be too short. On January 9th, 1987, at a final cost of $32 million, almost twice the cost of building Disneyland in 1955, the ride opened to throngs of patrons, many of whom dressed up as Star Wars characters for the occasion. In celebration, Disney remained open for a 60-hour marathon from January 9th at 10 a.m. to January 11th at 10 p.m., advertised as the ultimate Star Wars adventure. Star Tours put the guests in the role of a space tourist en route to the forest moon of Endor, the site of the cinematic battle from Return of the Jedi, via the Star Tours travel agency. Much was made of this throughout the ride queue, which was designed to look like a spaceship boarding terminal. Posters advertising voyages to different planets, and a giant screen informed riders of the benefits of going to Endor. The area was stocked with audio animatronic characters that seemed to speak to the ride patrons, including C-3PO and R2-D2, as well as a life-size mock-up of a Starspeeder 3000, the fictional spacecraft which riders were about to board. According to the book Disney Detective by Kendra Trahan, the figures of C-3PO and R2-D2 in the Disneyland attraction were actual props from the original film, modified to operate via audio animatronics. Guests then entered a maintenance area, where an apparent unproductive G2 droid performed repairs on another droid while being distracted by observing guests, and another droid inadvertently pointed out all the supposed flaws of the Starspeeder 3000 and its RX pilots. The G2 droids were in fact the animatronic skeletons of 2 geese from the Tomorrowland attraction America Sings. A ride attendant escorted guests to one of the several loading stations where they waited their turn to ride. A television screen above the queue displayed a countdown to takeoff time and showed images of the Starspeeder 3000 spacecraft being serviced. As launch time approached, a safety video was shown featuring Star Wars aliens, Disney Imagineers, and their families. It instructed guests how to fasten their seatbelts and where to place their belongings. Once the doors to the Starspeeder opened, guests walked across bridges into one of the several Starspeeder cabins. As the doors closed, the bumbling pilot droid of the ship, RX-24, or Rex, voiced by Paul Rubens, appeared on the side screen and chatted to guests about the trip as R2-D2 was loaded into the spacecraft. Rex lowered the cockpit shield and the hangar crew activated the flight platform. All went well until a slight mistake on Captain Rex's part sent the Starspeeder crashing into the maintenance bay doors and plummeting into the maintenance yard. They just barely crashed into the control room and nearly collided with a giant mechanical arm. Once in space, Rex asked R2-D2 to make the jump to light speed. However, the ship accidentally passed the Endor moon and instead got caught in the comet cluster. The ship got hit by several comets before getting trapped in one of the larger comets. The Starspeeder weaved its way through the comet and escaped by crashing through one of the walls. Upon escaping the comet, however, the ship encountered a Star Destroyer of the Imperial Remnant. The Starspeeder got caught in its tractor beam, but managed to get loose when a New Republic X-Wing fighter provided assistance by destroying the tractor beam's generator. Soon the Republic speeder accompanied the Republic fleet on an assault on the Death Star. Rex used the Starspeeder's lasers to eliminate several TIE fighters while a Republic pilot destroyed the Death Star in the same manner as Luke Skywalker by firing 2 proton torpedoes into the exhaust port. The X-Wings jumped to lightspeed as the Death Star exploded, and the final lightspeed jump sent the Starspeeder back to the spaceport, nearly colliding with a fuel tank in the hangar and sending a Star Tours employee ducking under his desk. As the cockpit shield raised and cut off Rex as he apologized for the near-fatal flight, C-3PO instructed the passengers on the exit procedure and thanked them, oblivious to the perils they just faced. The exit doors opposite the entrance then opened for the passengers, and they proceeded across another set of bridges into the exit hall towards the Star Trader gift shop. For the next 20 years, the ride continued to delight and thrill guests, not just at Disneyland, but all around the world as well. In 1989, Disney's MGM Studios would open in Florida, and Star Tours would open that year as well, although it would miss the opening day by 7 months. Despite that, Star Tours would be featured on the opening day maps. Over in Tokyo, the second iteration of the ride would open in July of 1989, being a carbon copy of the Disneyland version, albeit in Japanese. A fourth and final version would open in Disneyland Paris as an opening day attraction as well. With the massive success of the ride, the inevitable sequel was announced in 2005 by Lucas himself, but it would be another 4 years before hearing anything else about it.
Coming up next, get ready to hear all about Disney news on this week's Matterhorn Mondays. Then, it's Historyland, where extinct Disney attractions come to life.
Bumpy flight, and who knows where we'll land? The freezing cold of Hoth, the sandstorms of Tatooine.
Or get blasted to bits by the Empire.
What? Are you scared?
Really? Because you look scared.
With more than 50 different adventures, you never know where you'll go. Star Tours new in 3D. Flights departing daily from Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Ooh, somebody's got eyes for you.
During pre-production, one of the locations the Imagineers wanted guests to visit was an ice planet of Hoth, while it was under siege by the Imperial Walkers. However, the idea was quickly scrapped because it would interfere with the attraction's placement in the Star Wars timeline. According to Imagineer Jason Searle, after the Hoth battle idea was replaced with an encounter with the planet's native fauna, tauntauns and wampas. The concept was presented to George Lucas. Lucas, although liking the idea, requested that the battle scene be used instead, even if it meant disrupting the series canon. Lucas offered the possibility that there was perhaps an earlier scuffle between Rebel and Imperial forces on the planet, before the events of Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, unfolded, and that they, quote, later decided to build a base there, figuring the Empire wouldn't think the Rebels would return to that same location, unquote. The Kashyyyk sequence was suggested by John Lasseter. Industrial Light and Magic was responsible for the extensive computer-generated imagery seen throughout the attraction. At the 2009 D23 Expo in Anaheim, Walt Disney Imagineering announced that the Star Tours at Disneyland and Disney's Hollywood Studios would be closed in October of 2010 for a total renovation, and would reopen in May and June of 2011 as Star Tours 2. The updated ride system would consist of a high-definition video, a Dolby 3D high-definition screen, an improved motion simulator, as well as several other newly added special effects. In May of 2010, Disney announced exact dates for the closure of Star Tours at both parks, both earlier than the original announced October 2010 date. Star Tours closed on July 27th at Disneyland and on September 7th at Disney's Hollywood Studios. On June 11th, 2010, at the What's Next presentation, Disney announced that the reimagined attraction would take place between episodes 3 and 4 of the Star Wars film series, and will be named Star Tours The Adventure Continues. They also premiered an image showcasing the Starspeeder 1000 flying through Coruscant. On August 12th, during Celebration 5, Disney showed a preview commercial of what guests may expect to see, including visits to Endor, Bespin, and Alderaan. By September 24th, 2 new characters were revealed for Star Wars The Adventure Continues. The first was Ace, the new pilot, and the second one was the Ally Sansan spokes droid, voiced by Allison Janney. During D23's Destination D event, Disneyland Resort president George Kalogridis stated that the new ride would feature 54 possible different experiences. On October 26th, Tom Fitzgerald, Executive VP and Senior Creative Executive of Walt Disney Imagineering, stated that while Ace was supposed to be the pilot of the Starspeeder 1000, by the time riders actually take off, the pilot would be C-3PO. Fitzgerald also mentioned that Captain Rex, the former Star Tours pilot, would also make an appearance somewhere on the new version of the attraction. Anthony Daniels, who played C-3PO in all the Star Wars films, returned to portray the character in 3 mediums: live-action suit, motion capture, and audio animatronic voice. Fitzgerald revealed on February 11th, 2011, that more characters would be encountered on the ride, including Darth Vader, Boba Fett, Imperial Star Troopers, Sky Troopers, Admiral Akbar, Yoda, Princess Leia, and Chewbacca. He confirmed on April 1st locations that guests could visit on the new attraction. Destinations include Tatooine, Coruscant, Hoth, Naboo, Kashyyyk, and the Death Star. The attraction in Florida began soft openings on May 14th, with the official opening at midnight on May 20th, 2011. The attraction in Anaheim began soft openings on May 20th, with the official opening in the morning of June 3rd, 2011. Tokyo Disneyland Star Tours attraction closed on April 2nd, 2012, and reopened as the revamped attraction on May 7th, 2013. Disneyland Paris' Star Tours attraction was the final incarnation to change. It closed on March 16th, 2016, and reopened as The Adventures Continue on March 16th, 2017. In 2012, Star Tours The Adventures Continue was awarded at the Most Outstanding Attraction Refresh by the Themed Entertainment Association. At the 2015 D23 Expo, it was announced that an adventure themed to The Force Awakens would be added to the attraction. The new adventure became available beginning October 16, 2015. A new adventure themed to Crate from The Last Jedi will be added to the Adventure Matrix. The Crate and Batuu sequences were added on November 17, 2017. Unlike the original attraction, Star Tours 2 has randomized ride sequences with many different locations to give the guests a different experience every time. The ride sequence is randomized. Guests riding Star Tours will experience 4 out of the 13 different segments, with some segments offering slight variance. During each journey, this gives Star Tours the advantage of being both highly repeatable and constantly surprising. Even though guests can experience 96 different journeys, the main priority, delivering a Rebel spy to safety, is accomplished no matter what the sequence is. The Rebel spy's identity is chosen by the cast member operating the ride vehicle from among the guests on the attraction, and their picture is presented during the ride. Sometimes no guest is chosen though, and a generic photo is used. There are 17 random segments of the film, 3 opening segments, 4 primary destination segments, 6 hologram message segments, and 4 ending destination segments. When combined, they allow 288 different possible ride experiences. Star Tours has been one of the most popular rides at the Disney parks for almost 30 years, and with the opening of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, Star Wars has fully cemented itself as a staple of Disney and will be around for years to come.